Hey guys, Kev here, and I want to compare or talk about the Divo knives Lush and the Jack Wolf knives After Hours Jack. And the reason I want to do that is because they're both sheep's foot, bolster locks, sort of traditional aesthetic looking knives, S90V titanium, fat carbon or camo carbon inlays. They're dropping within a day of each other. The Lush is dropping on the 14th of December at 1 p.m. Eastern at traditionalpocketknives.com. It is a Traditional Pocket Knives exclusive model. And then the After Hours, or AHJ, is dropping on the 15th at 2 p.m. Eastern. It will also be dropping at traditionalpocketknives.com, but also at a bunch of other retailers. And so they're very similar, right? In a lot of ways, but they're also really different. And I thought it'd be fun to compare them. Now, I want to make it clear, even though I'll probably put a catchy thumbnail or title together that says Divo versus Jack Wolf or something dumb like that, because I'm hoping I pull you in and you watch the video. These aren't direct comparisons, okay? There are substantial differences that could potentially lean you one way or the other. My hope is that you buy both, because I am co-owner of this company, but I truly love Jack Wolf knives and I want them to succeed. So I'm not trying to steer you one way or the other. Obviously gonna do my best not to be biased. Again, co-owner here, but I'm pretty good at being objective. But I just want to give you info, and I just thought it would be a cool video since they're both dropping and it might be just fun to talk about them, you know? So this is not a review or a battle. It's just a kind of ramble about these two knives, okay? So I do have the other Lushes here that are dropping. Unfortunately, I don't have all the Jack Wolfs or After Hours Jacks. So the Lush is going to come in 80s camo carbon, and then Arctic fat carbon and lava flow fat carbon. They're all titanium, bead blast body, satin hardware. They all have a machined satin S90V blade. They're all hollow ground, right? They're all the same except for that inlay material, okay? Now, the After Hours Jack is going to come in 5 flavors, and they do vary a little bit. So you have bolster locks like this, and you have full frame locks. So you have 2 that are full frame locks, one with jig titanium and a hand satin blade, I believe. And then you have one that is all DLC. I'm not sure if it's jigged. I think it's just plain tie, but it's all DLC, including the blade, hardware, everything. And it's a frame lock. Then you have 3 that have the bolster lock variation. You have this one in Purple Haze Fat Carbon. And again, it's a bolster lock. And this has a belt satin finish, hollow ground, S90V as well, and titanium. And then you have purple accents, anodized on the clip and the backspacer, which is beautiful. Then you have a frost fat carbon one that has blue accents. And then you have a crazy sort of toxic kieranite. You got to look these up on their websites. I'll link down below. If you do pick up a Jack Wolf, there are links down below to the dealers that I have affiliates with for this model. So if you use those, it does help the channel out. It doesn't cost you anything. You don't have to do that, but if you want to help your brother out and you're going to buy one anyway, use my links down there. I do have a link for these, obviously, as well, Traditional Pocket Knives. I'm not getting any commission on these or anything. Obviously, I'll be getting some of the proceeds because it's, you know, my company. But links are down there if you want to use them, is basically what I'm saying. I always link everything in the comments and the description so you can find it. The toxic one then has, I think, some kind of green anodized accents. And I think it also has the DLC blade, but I'm not positive. Just check the website for the information or the variants. The after hours jack will be $350 retail. So this is one of the major differences between these models. The Jack Wolf is $350 retail, and you're not going to get discounts or anything anywhere. And that's to keep everything fair. The Lush here is going to be $199. So there's a $150 price difference. So that's why I don't put these in the same category, right? This will be $199. You can use affiliate codes at Traditional Pocket Knives, and that'll save $5. So like my Lefty TPK code, it'll work, and that should knock off $5. But I recommend you use one of your favorite YouTubers' codes, somebody else's, because I won't get commission, but somebody else might. So, you know, use one of those. Help my other brethren out. Anyway. So $194, $199 on this. We'll call it $199. So they're not in the same price range, right? Now, a lot of people are going to look at them and they're going to say S90B, titanium, camo carbon, or fat carbon. Titanium backspacer, right? Ball bearings. And they're going to say, well, I could get that one for $199. Why would I pay $350 for this one, right? That's what a lot of you are going to say. And I get it. Totally get it. There's a budget market for a reason, right? A lot of people look solely at material and price, and that's what they go with, right? And that's how they kind of designate, you know, value. But the thing is, I've handled both of these, carried both of these relatively extensively. I've had a prototype and production version of these for a long time, so I obviously have a lot of experience with these, designed it and everything, right, with my partner Colin. The after hours, I've carried and handled a Gunslinger Jack, which is their previous locking model, for a long time. And it's very similarly built. And I've had this one for about a week. So I have a good handle on both of these. This costs more because it's worth more. Okay? This has a deeper level of finishing and detail in design, I think. I don't know how the best way to word that, but you get what you pay for, right? There is a, what do we call it? A point of diminishing returns, right? You hit that point from here to here, right? So yes, you're not going to get more material with this, right? So you could pay the $199 and you can get the S90V, the titanium, the fat carbon, and everything, right? And you're gonna get the same with the after hours. Now on this one, you do get a milled pocket clip versus a wire clip. Now, a lot of people think using a wire clip is way more affordable or something. We don't do it for cost purposes. We do it because we actually like the wire clip. Now, we do have models with milled clips as well, but point is, we just like the wire clip on this model, so we went with it. You can also remove it, and then both sides will look like this, and then you can just throw it in a slip. This one, you can remove and put a filler tab in that is provided, and then you can put it in a provided slip. It comes with a leather slip that you can put this in after you take the clip off. So you're getting that slip here. You're not getting a slip here. But yeah, there's a point of diminishing returns, and it is right around this point right here, $199, right? You're not going to get more value in material and whatnot. But the key differences are we had to use a machined satin finish, right? For one, Concept, who OEMs this knife, does not do a belt satin finish. And if they did, it would have cost a lot more to do, and it would have put us out of our price range that we wanted to hit. We wanted this knife to come in at $199 or less, and we just got it to $199. So we got this machine satin finish. Now, this finish looks good. It actually looks really good compared to most machine satins that you get. But it's not a belt satin finish. It is not this. Okay? This is absolutely stunning. This is gorgeous. I don't know if you know how a belt satin finish is applied, but it is applied by a human being with skills who knows how to grind a blade and make it look this ridiculously good. Okay? So there's number one in terms of differences. This is great, okay? Extremely well done by Concept. But this is mostly finished on a machine. This is finished by hand, okay? So there's a difference when it comes to price and everything. You'll notice the finish on the titanium. This is a standard bead blast finish on here, which has that light gray appearance. You're used to seeing that on basically every Chinese-made knife. I can show you. Here's a Kunwu. Here's a Clydesdale. This is from Kubi. Here's a Vero Engineering Synapse from Bestech. They make it, obviously. Even here, this is a custom from Trevor Berger. Okay, I can go on and on here. Riot with the Sweeney. Jack Wolf does this aluminum oxide finish that is absolutely gorgeous. Now, it's snail trails easier. It's kind of like a CRK finish. They didn't invent it, but they, apply it and they use it. And I don't know if it costs more, but to me, it makes it look nicer. Not gonna lie. If I could put it on here, I would. The reason we don't try to do that is because we don't want to do what they do, right? I feel like if we did that, then it's like, okay, you're just taking what they do and doing it, right? And we don't want to do that. So I will enjoy it and love it on my Jack Wolfs, right? But I'm not going to go and put it on Divos. Okay, so those are two big differences. And then if you just look at overall fit and finish, this knife has this knife by a little bit. It's not like crazy or anything. Now, this knife definitely is meant to have more crisp edges and stuff. Now, I'm not saying they're sharp. I'm just saying you can see it just, I don't know how to explain it. Maybe the handle just pops a little more, where this one's a little more rounded and everything. And then that finish helps a lot too, right? This is extremely well done. The transitions, Concept crushed these transitions. Can't catch that one. Can't catch that one. Just slightly catch it down there. Nothing. Like, they did a great job, right? This corner right here is a little sharp, but it's so minimal that you don't... I've never touched it. It's not one of those where it sticks out a lot. Like, here's that fulcrum again. Theirs sticks out a lot, and it's sharp, and that will bother you. You know what I mean? This is minimal, but it's not like knocked down. This up here isn't knocked down. It's got a little bit of a sharp point there. This one has a chamfer built into the CAD file to soften corners off, especially right here. Look at that. You see that? See that corner right there? You can see that shadow. That's where that's built in right there, so you don't have a sharp spot. And I believe they did the same thing up here. This one's actually a little bit sharp, but I think they attempted. That's a huge detail on a bolster lock like this. Then you have that clip and backspacer design. Look at that. Travels all the way up. Kind of mimics a spring, which is really, really cool. See that? The tip is nice and tucked away there. Just unbelievable fit and finish, in my opinion. You know why? They're hand finished. These are hand finished. And yeah, these have hand finishing. They're freaking knives. They're not just like robots popping them off a thing. But not to that level, right? This is extremely well done. I'm not trying to diminish the Lush. Obviously, it's my knife, right? But I just want to point out that this is worth $350. I have no qualms about that price. And this is well worth the $199. I think, yes, you're getting more of a value here because we could probably sell this for $250 or something and get away with it, right? $250, $300, and people wouldn't squawk too much about it. But we're selling it at $199. Where this one, you know, $350, you're like, oh yeah, $350. That's a little much. But like they have to sell it at that, so that's what they're selling it at. Again, I have no problem with that. But so it's the way you look at it. This one, that tip, if you really jab your finger in there, you can get to it. Like I can feel it right there. But if you're just, you know, you're fine. But I do want to point that out. Again, both are on ball bearings, which is fun. This one, you can buy skiffs on their website, and you can also maybe get them from Skiff. They're 1/8 pivot, 3/64 ball. Very odd size. But you could just throw them in there and you're good to go. On the Lush here, I had to do some finagling because Concept uses race washers. You can watch my disassembly. I'll link it somewhere along the way here. And I had to use washers from another knife in here. So you have to have washers laying around or something to be able to use skips. But it did work because they're in here and it's solid. So just want to point that out though. This one has T8 hardware all on the outside. And then I believe the 2 screws underneath, 1 or 2 screws holding the frame together, those are T6s. I'm pretty positive on that because I've taken apart other ones and I believe they switched to a T6. But I also don't want to make a fool of myself again, which I've done. I actually did a disassembly on this, so I could just say, why don't you go check that out? But you know what? Let's just do it. So this one, the construction of these is extremely similar. You literally take the pivot out, then you take 2 body screws out for the scale. These are T6s. And then underneath is another set of screws. This one just has 1 T6 right here. This one has 2 right here, and these are T6. So you're going to want a T6 for that. And then the knife comes apart once you take those off. And in this case, you have the clip screw and that body screw, where this one just has the 2 body screws. So same amount of screws, same amount of process, just a little bit different. But they're both bolster locks, so they both have basically the same disassembly process. But I have videos taking both of them apart. So I should have just pointed you to that instead of starting to take a scale off here. But I'm trying to get this screw in the tooling. There we go. All right. So both of them have a front flipper and a fuller long pull. But the Lush has a top flipper as well. So that's your difference in terms of deployments. You're going to have that long pull situation on both of these. And then you're going to have a front flipper. This one's right here. This one comes up to here. But then the Lush has this top flipper portion as well. So on the after hours, you want to get your finger into that long pull and fire the blade out. That is how you reverse flick it. On the Lush, you want to get your finger into that long pull and fire the blade out. It is, keep cutting myself apparently, the same exact process on that. Left-handed. Now, left-handed, you might give a little advantage. Again, not a battle or anything, but you might give a little advantage to the Lush just because you have that smaller bolster lock. So when I rest my finger here as a lefty, I'm not coming anywhere near that lock bar. Where on this, I rest right on top of it. Now, right, I can't flick it out. But for the most part, my natural grip, pick it up, I'm like down here, and then it works. So I wouldn't really say, I don't think I'd say this is better left-handed, but you could make the argument because of that, you know. But both are definitely good to go left-handed. I've carried both. I've enjoyed both left-handed. Honestly, I prefer them left-handed over right-handed. So anyway, that's how you would reverse flick these. Same thing with the thumb flick. You just get your finger into the fuller, and you basically have to give it a little bit of wrist. Just makes it a little bit easier because another thing that both of these have is a medium to light detent. They're not meant to have strong detents because of the front flippers and because they have these long pulls versus like a hole where you can really get a ton of traction. So you'll see they both have a sort of medium detent versus, you know, something that's stronger. Oops. Something that's stronger where hear it like pop out of there. You're not going to get that on these. These are just going to, they're just going to come out, right? And that's because you have a front flipper. But anyway, on the thumb, you got to just, you know, I just give it a little bit of wrist. It's kind of hard on camera for this, but give it a little bit of wrist. And they both have good sharp fullers so you can get in there and give it that wrist to get it out, or to give it the thumb flick, right? So that's how I would do it. Just a little flick as you thumb it out and it'll come out. If you're not doing it on camera, it's a lot easier, trust me. But they're not really made for thumb flicking. They're better for thumb rolling than flicking. But then we get up to the front flippers, and this is where we deviate some, right? I would say that they feel very similar across the board. Detent, flick, thumb flick, they feel really the same to me. In terms of the strength and how consistent they are, and they just feel good. They feel really good to flick and fidget with and whatnot. Now, on the after hours jack on this front flipper, I do wish that it had more jimping coming up and around up here, because it's one of my biggest gripes with front flippers is like if you're not perfect, you might miss, and then you hit this sharp spot and it can hurt a little bit. And I've done that with this. It also makes this move harder, and you have kind of a sharp corner up there, and it's just not the best for those rollback moves. You can reach around it, but you got to reach up and around to get to it because it doesn't have jimping up here. But you can certainly do it. And when you do get the front flipper down, it's very satisfying. It's fun to front flip. You can hear it thunderclapping out. Feels really, really good. It does feel a little bit sharp and pokey on your finger. You can see it puts a little dent in there. It's making it a little red. So for me, I can't sit there and do this all day. But, you know, I switch back to the flick, and I really enjoy the flick on this knife. So on the Lush, on the other hand, you have this combo, right? And we jimped it all the way up. All the way up. Isn't there like a song about that? So for the front flipper, you want to come up right here where that point comes up, put pressure, and just pop it. Put pressure and just pop it, right? Like that. And then you can also rest your finger up top and give it a Bic lighter pop as well if you want to do the top flipper move. So for that, come up top and just snap it back like a Zippo. Now, you don't want to come up on the back side of that because then you're just not going to have the leverage to get it around. You need to be like at the front half of it and then just Bic lighter it. And then you also can easily grab right here, because it's all jimp, and the jimping's very aggressive, and just reach around it and pull it around. And you need the detents to be medium to light to be able to get it out when you do that. So she said, if it was strong on the front flipper, this would hurt extremely bad. So would this, because the jimping's aggressive, right? So it has to be that way. So personally, I like the front flipper better on the Lush, just because you have the ability to do both things, and it has the jimping the way I like it, right? And not everybody's going to feel that way. I think reverse flick wise, I might give the edge slightly to the after hours. They're both really, really good. They both catch your finger really well. But this one's like next level of just smooth butter. It's crazy. This is very smooth and very well done. This is just like, yeah, I think it's another one of those, where's my $150 going, right? So it feels really good. Another thing I noticed that was interesting is detent retention. It doesn't actually come into play for like the action. You can see there, I can easily pop this out and just fail it. I could do the same thing right here, right? But if I fire, they both fire out. They both have about the same amount of pull to get it out of the handle, right? But if I shake this, I cannot get that to come loose. This one, oops, I can get that to shake out pretty easy. Just give it a little bit of wrist, and it'll pop out. That's not bad, because it's not just like falling out of the handle or anything. Detent is fine. This is weird. I mean, it is absurdly good at retaining the blade in the handle for having such a not strong detent, right? Again, they're the same, but this one just retains that blade really well. And I'm not putting pressure on the lock bar. I've tried it all over. I just can't get it out. So she said, so I think maybe they use a smaller detent ball and they set it out and it sits like, so it's kind of like, yeah, the detent's not super strong, but the way they did it was just shrinking down how a big knife would do it. And that makes it retain really well and just not have a super strong detent, which is necessary in here. Where this kind of just does it like a larger knife, but makes the detent a little softer. So it's a little easier to get it out of the handle, even though the detent is the same. So it's a very interesting thing. I don't know. But I definitely give detent retention over here to the after hours jack. Again, not a battle, just saying. Lock bar access, you're going to get some here. You're not going to get any here. So on the Lush, we cut back this area right here, which is pretty low to disengage, but it works really well. You just get your thumb in there and the blade drops. I mean, thumb, blade drops, right? On the after hours, you have no cutback. You have a little chamfer on each side, kind of like you see on a lot of Riot knives. But it's a not stiff detent or not stiff lock bar. So for me, you just kind of pop it out of the way. I mean, it hasn't bothered me, to be honest. The only downside to it that I'm noticing is because of the way you have to go in to get it like this, you're on an angle where that blade can hit you right in the cuticle. And it has come down on my cuticle a few times. Luckily, the blade is so lightweight that it just hasn't cut me. I've felt the pressure, but it just hasn't cut me. Where the Lush, because of that lock bar access, when you disengage it, the blade falls on the forward part of your nail. So you're not going to drop it and cut your cuticle or anything. You also get hit by the flat part of the blade, not any kind of corner. So you might get a couple of lines or something, but you're not going to like jack yourself up. Where this one, because of the way you have to disengage it, it can come down depending on where you are and hit you in the thing. I don't know if that's a problem. I'm just pointing it out. And that's just me. Everybody's different. So skiffs. I put skiffs in here and it didn't need it. So that's the first thing I'm going to say is neither of these knives need skiff bearings. You can just leave them stock. You don't have to do it. They both have nice weight out here because it's a thinner area back here, and then you have just the way the blade shape is, it gets wider out here, so it's heavier out here. So it wants to fall. You know what I mean? And man, this thing is just stupidly smooth. I do have a little bit of lock grab. When I disengage, sometimes it'll like skip off. It's not stick. I don't think it's oil because I've cleaned it like a million times. I even took it apart and cleaned it. But it's not a problem. It's not like stick. It's just a little bit of grab. And I've had it with the Lush as well. I've had it with, I don't think this one, but my 80s one. I've had that. So I just put a little bit of alcohol on the blade tang there where it locks up. And then I open the knife and that'll get some alcohol on the lock bar insert, and that might clean it off. Over time, it'll clear up. But both of them kind of had that. And then, obviously there's aesthetic differences and size differences. The Lush is a 3-inch blade where the After Hours is a 3.2-inch blade. So you have a bigger knife here. So if you like larger knives, that one would make more sense. This one has a forward finger choil. So we basically put that on everything. So you could choke up here, and then you have box style jimping up here. And you could bear down on that. And it's very comfortable. Feels really good in the hand. You can hold it back here if you like. I never do that, but you can. And then there's that choke up grip. On the After Hours, there's no choil, but it's not really necessary. You can choke up all the way up to here. So you're going to get more blade on this guy, right? You're going to get more cutting edge. Let's see. Where's that cutting edge? There you go. So you get that extra, I don't know, what is that? Let me line them up for me and I'll show you. There you go. It's like 1/8 of an inch maybe that you get extra cutting edge. But you do have a larger overall knife. So the choil doesn't really kill your blade length at all. But both are extremely comfortable in the hand. Both are sharp and very slicey. The After Hours is going to be on the stupid thin side. That's just how they do their knives. They're just stupidly thin. So if you want the slimmest, sliciest one, that's the one. This is hollow ground and really thin and feels fantastic. Again, no problem with this one, but definitely gonna see a difference because this thing is a laser beam or a thin, whatever you want to call it, thin edge. So I think that's mostly everything about the two knives that's different or whatever. I don't know what else to cover on them. I think they're both fabulous. One other difference is you can flip the clip on this. So we do have a reversible clip. So if you're left-handed, might make sense for this one. I was saying you don't have an advantage really. You do a little bit with that shorter bolster and then with the clip. So yeah, technically it does make more sense left-handed, but I would never let that stop me if I preferred this knife. You know what I mean? What else? I don't know. I mean, they're both awesome, guys. This one's like 0.45 in handle thickness. This one's like 0.47. So a little bit thicker, not thick, but a little bit thicker than this one. So a little bigger, but a little thinner. A little smaller on this one. I did measure the in the pocket sort of width. And this one was like 1/10 of an inch or 100th of an inch. Can't remember. Wider. but it wasn't by much. But you can see it is a little bit wider in the pocket. I've carried both, no problem at all. So I wouldn't let that, you know. Honestly, guys, I would buy both if I was you. Here's the Arctic one, and then here's the 80s one for the Lush. So maybe there's a color you want, you know, that you can only get for one of these knives. But I think most people are just going to have their preference, right? They're going to either say, okay, I really like the fact that this is only $199, right? Some people are going to say, well, I'm a Jack Wolf collector, so it just makes sense for me to get the Jack Wolf. Or I want a black blade or a hand satin, or I want a Kieranite handle or whatever, right? I want a milled clip, you know? Then this one makes the most sense. I want the extra slip that comes with it, so I can just carry it right away in a slip. Boom. They both have like neon packaging, so I don't have the Jack Wolf packaging right here, but you can see it on their website. It's really, really cool. It has this neon sign looking thing, and it looks sexy as hell. We went with this box. Traditional Pocket Knives designed this box along with Colin, and it's got these neon colors, and then each one has a specific color kind of thing over here for the version. So like here's the red, here's the blue. And then inside is a Divo box and a sticker that has the same design. And then there'll be a Divo cloth, a 12 by 12 cloth. Fabulous cloths. And that's how you'll get the Divos. The Jack Wolfs are even more impressive with packaging. They come in a really nice box that has a tin in it, a can, and that can has a cloth, same size cloth. And then it has a slip and a couple of stickers as well. Did I say the slip? You get the slip as well. So, yeah. Trying to think. Both S90V, both are going to be that 58 to 60 range on HRC. Jack Wolf might list it at 59 to 61. Not positive, but most China with S90V, you're going to be 58 to 60 or 59 to 61. It's just the range they're in, because I think that's what Crucible recommends. Sorry, a lot of ums in this one. I'm just trying to think. I just want to give you all the information I can, but you know, I think I've covered everything. You know, again, personally, I would get both. I have both, obviously, so I'm not stressing it. And I know it's not possible for people to get both, and maybe it's not possible for people to get any of them. I don't know. I just wanted to babble about this for some reason. I had this idea that comparing these would be cool. So there you go. I hope I didn't come off biased in any way. I don't feel biased in any way, truly. I feel invested in Jack Wolf almost as much as I do in Divo. I love Ben and Donnie and the team there, and I love what they do. I love the products. I collect them. I want them all. I want them to succeed badly. And I obviously, you know, co-own this company. I want this to succeed and do well. But I think both things can exist in the same place. So, you know, that's what I'm here for. I'm here for the community and growing the community, not just worrying about myself. You know what I mean? So here's the information. You guys take it and do with it what you will. I'd love to hear in the comments what you think. Now, please don't come in the comments and start like bashing one or the other or whatever. That was not the point of this. The point is they're both fantastic, and maybe some people had questions about, you know, how they compare in certain areas, and maybe this will help. You know, it also was cathartic for me, because I've always thought a locking midnight would be very similar to a Lush, because this didn't exist in the world until like 2 weeks ago when we found out about it, right? This has been in prototype phase and production for about a year now. But the same can be said for this. It's just we didn't know about it. Ben is really good at keeping secrets. And this is based off a slip joint design that we did. And we did that design before the Midnight ever came out. Ironically, we kind of showed off this design, and then the Midnight was released like a month later. So great minds, you know, think alike, I would say. And this is based off the Midnight, which is a slip joint design. So, you know, there's a lot of similarities here that are fun and cool. And yeah, I mean, I can almost guarantee you Ben is doing the same thing I am and, you know, rooting for both of us. So there's enough knives to go around and enough people to buy them, I think. So, yeah, I love them. And I hope you guys love them too. So December 14th at 1 p.m. Eastern at Traditional Pocket Knives for the Lush. These 3 versions right here, $199 on those. And then the next day at 2 p.m. Eastern, Traditional Pocket Knives along with a bunch of other dealers listed down below, as well as their dealer list listed down below. And this one's going to be $350. So there you go. I love you guys. Thank you so much for checking this out. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day, and I will catch you later.